Welcome back. You're watching us live from Broadcasting House, and of course the conversation that we are now about to have is on the aviation industry. And of course we all know that it has been impacted negatively by the COVID-19 crisis. There was popping of champagne when the numbers of COVID were going down. But it seems like that was just a short lull, because the Omicron variant is now becoming a major headache for the global airline industry. How bad is the situation? We're still not yet getting the figures, because industry stakeholders are still scoring the ground and trying to have a look at what exactly is happening. But of course, it's when you observe the market, you see that there has been swings all over the place, and of course shares of global airlines, are moving right and left like a broken pendulum. Is this how the aviation industry is going to be defined going forward? That's a conversation we're about to have here, and we are now joined by Mwangi, the Managing Director of 748 Air Services. He knows a thing or two, because he has been in the aviation industry for decades. Now he's about to share with us his insights this morning. Mwangi, thank you very much indeed for finding time to be with us here.
Thank you very much.
I want to hear from you, first of all. I mean, I don't want to ask you how was 2020. That was terrible. We all know that.
Yes.
2021, things were looking better. Actually, as a company, you embarked on a major expansion drive, whereby you started flying into various destinations in the country. But how is Omicron now proving to be a headache for you, for the industry?
Of course, the issue of COVID has really affected the aviation industry more than any other industry. But especially if you talk about international aviation, like flying from Europe to Africa or the transatlantic, there is definitely some effect because of all the countries closing down, the restrictions, number of things that really, of course, have tied it up. And of course, the issue of being tested for COVID, I mean, it's very expensive. They are normally very expensive exercises. And of course, the issue of being able to access the jobs. But I mean, having said that, a number of things have happened, especially after, when the world closed down in about April 2020, it was like, aviation will never come back again.
Yep.
But it took about 5 months and the world started changing. A number of things, the jobs started coming in, but also, we also started realizing a few things of how we can live within and how we can live with this serious flu called COVID. So, this industry, which is very, very dynamic, has always remained dynamic. Yep. So a number of things changed, a number of things started happening, and it's opening up. Even with the Omicron, nothing is going to change. When we look at it, when we see what is happening, especially on the domestic front, we already can see a lot of improvement, especially in the last two months, and especially after the curfew was removed, we can see a lot of changes. And the Kenyans are dynamic. Kenyans are moving. Kenyans want to enjoy themselves. We have the demographics of people that really need to go for holidays and everything, and they all understand the importance of aviation, because aviation, we talk about aviation currently today, especially in Kenya, it's more cheaper than rail and road. And not only that, it's also the safest mode of transport.
Yep.
You rarely have an incident of anybody being injured or anything happening in aviation.
Well, it comes second after the shipping industry.
Yes, it's actually, and touch wood, once in a while it happens, but when you compare the numbers and everything, the percentage is still very much insignificant. And you know why this one happens? It's one of the most regulated industry in the world.
Do you believe? And the issue of regulation, has always been thrown around as one of the biggest impediments to the growth of the aviation industry in the world. But do you believe that there is over-regulation of the aviation industry here in Kenya?
No. Actually, we should tighten more.
There should be more tightening.
The more you regulate, yes. And there is always a reason for regulating the industry. Unlike vehicles where you can actually have a place to park because it did not start. An aircraft you cannot park. You cannot park it up there. Aircrafts are very different. And when you follow the regulation, it also means that you will be able to eliminate all these incidents, accidents, and all that. You've seen what has happened on the road, and I really don't want to say that it has not been properly regulated, but of course it's very far from what we are talking about. And when you come to aviation, it's all about the training, it's all about the maintenance of the aircraft. The standards are very, 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 very high. And don't forget they are controlled by, in the whole world comes up together under ICAO in Montreal, which is a UN agency, which actually controls how aviation is going to be managed over the world. All these regulatory organizations, all for an ICAO.
Moses, I like the fact that, you're not just looking at the aviation industry, locally. I mean, you're also going global. But look, between me and you, we know for sure that flying, is a basic mode of transport, for example, in Europe, in North America, in Asia. Why is it that in Kenya, boarding an aircraft, from point A to point B is usually seen like it's a luxurious occasion?
Thank you for coming up with that question. I can actually tell you, one of the major reasons, 748, we have existed in the last 26 years. And mainly, we specialize in humanitarian aviation. We work for UN agencies, EU, and over the years, we gained a lot of experience. When you talk of regulatory authorities, we are even more regulated, because other than what we undergo through Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, we also undergo very severe audits, which are almost there every month from these UN agencies, just to make sure that our levels of safety are high. So we decided, as a strategic focus, to also, we found that there was an opportunity to now come to the domestic one, and even later regional, where we actually bring this experience into it. Now, one of the major things that we also realize is that when we are coming to this domestic one, is that aviation in Kenya is still mystified. We need to demystify it. There is a lot of people, there is a hell of critical mass in our population that should be flying, but they don't fly because the aircraft is kind of, is glamorous, and sometimes people fear it. Because airports, sometimes to access them is not as direct as heading to a railway station or even Machakos bus service.
How do we break that classism?
That is the major way of doing it, is coming up. What we have done at 748 is actually to differentiate the product completely, break the prices completely, take advantage of the global trend, what is happening today, especially in the aviation industry, where the market of aircrafts has really come down, has crashed. So we are able to get very good aircrafts, especially the ones that we normally work with, the Havilland aircraft, the Canadian aircraft, which is very versatile and extremely reliable. The prices of those aircrafts have crashed. If you talk of pre-COVID, the cost of those aircrafts has actually gone down by more than 50%. So we are able to bring this aircraft at a fairly low prices in the market. So our capital structure is very low, and with that, we've been able to come in and disturb the market. And the way we've done it, because with that, we are able to demystify the market and give very low prices that are affordable, and also market ourselves, get to the people that this critical mass that has been ignored, and make sure that we are able to explain and talk to them. And this we are doing through our corporate responsibility, where we are even sponsoring football teams like Gor Mahia, AFC. We are also doing it with Kenya Police, and we are also coming up with days where we are actually offering free tickets to those people who have never flown.
Let's first of all discuss this issue, statistically. Out of the almost 7 million people who uses airlines or air services in this country, less than half of that are domestic. Are Kenyans. Is it a cost of? Is it an issue of cost? Is it an issue of classism, or how do we ensure that we make more Kenyans to use our airports and our airlines to go to the next destination?
Imagine it's nothing to do with the class. It's only that this information has not gone to this critical mass.
Then who's to do that? Who's to do that?
It's us. And this is one of the venues. This is one of the venues where we can actually explain to you how easy it is. And I mean, with almost all this, we always talk about going to the airport, maybe early and all this and that. Right now, with this domestic one, you will find that you only need to arrive at the airport just 1 hour in advance. And the other very interesting bit to remember is that in Kenya, depending on the aircraft that you are flying with, there isn't any destination that is more than 1.5 hours. For us, using the Q400, which is as fast as any jet for the duration of 1.5 hours, there is no flight that is 1 hour. We fly all our flights to Mombasa, Malindi, Ukunda. They are all below 1 hour. They are all below 1 hour. So the situation here is, it's so fast. You are there on time. You are there safe. It's also safe. It's also very, very, very cheap. And especially if you organize your holiday early and then you are able to book your tickets early. Let's say now you are organizing for Easter. Start buying the tickets now. You will not believe it. It's much easier than the petrol that you rode in your car.
Mwangi, we are now getting into we have already gotten into the festive mode.
Yes.
And people will be traveling from destination A to destination B for holidays and of course for friends, meetups and all this.
Yes.
Who can fly in this country?
Now, you mentioned a figure of 7 million. I don't agree with you. I believe the figure is more than three times the figure you've mentioned today of the people who can actually fly. To talk about the demographics, talk about the middle class, and I can tell you, even the lower middle class, from the lower middle class in Kenya, everybody can be able to fly. And and the way to do it is work it out. If you are talking about holiday, start saving. If you want to and this is possible. I mean, if you want to travel to Masai Mara or even let's say Ukunda, let's say Malindi and everything, start organizing in January. Save a small, create a small account and save some small amounts and everything. And within a very short time, you'll have the cash. Make sure that it doesn't move until you tie up with the hotels and everything. And if let's say you are tying up a hotel and the airline, let's say in June for December, it's so cheap, it's unbelievable.
Mwangi, are you saying that flying is not a reserve or
it's
a
not
reserve of the rich?
No, it's not. It is
Anybody
not.
can fly?
Everybody can fly.
What do you need?
Now, what you need to do to fly is nothing else. It's just major planning. The first thing that involves is planning. And you don't have to sometimes you don't have to plan if you are talking about even going to Mombasa. It could be even for business and everything. The prices that we have for flying to Mombasa or Kisumu are cheaper than rail and road. So you only need to buy the ticket. And let me tell you another very interesting one. You don't have to necessarily to go to the agents. We love the agents because they buy the tickets. I mean, they increase our business and everything. But you know what? Get the website. If you are talking about 748, go to 748 Air Service, book online, and you'll find all the rates there, and they are so cheap you cannot believe it. When you go through a middleman, you understand. You don't know what happens with brokers. They always have their commission.
I want to give you an example. Yeah. I mean, look,
let me first repeat that one. Why am I saying this? Because I've noticed all corporate organizations, nobody goes to the websites to book the tickets online. And the effect of that is that they are paying double the price. So nobody is saying that the prices are very low.
But we also need agents in this country because they also create employment for our people.
Of course we need them.
Let me ask you this. Look, and I want to give an example of the SGR. What you just need to do if you want to use the SGR is just key in a certain number and the seats that are available. It will give you a link where you can pay, and then voila, you have your ticket. Why don't we have a system like that for airlines?
It is much cheaper than that. You only need your phone.
But you need internet. I mean, you have to go to the website. That's what I'm.
Of course you need. Of course you need.
Why can't we have a code whereby you just need to, like, for example, if I'm using airline A, I just need to click a certain number, and then it will give me a link. I'm going I open, I book a flight, I pay, and the next day I'm flying.
I can tell you, even the other one, even for everyone, you still need the internet, because they need to know how many seats have been booked. And unless you have the internet, you can't also book that one, even for the everyone.
Well, not necessarily. They have a USSD code.
Yeah, internet is still very, very...
No, you don't need. You can even do that with a Mulika Mwizi.
Yes.
You can book an SGR seat with a Mulika Mwizi, because it uses a USSD code.
Yes, but even with the USSD code, they still have to update in the system, the booking system and everything. And what happens with the unlike, of course, like the railway here, for us in the airlines, you can book our ticket from Bundu, from any place in the world. You can be in Siberia, you can be in the Caribbean, and you know, the access is still the same one that you have for the person who is here in Nairobi, seated here. Yes.
Mwangi, you see, the industry is very critical to Kenya's economy, because its contribution...
Can I tell you how critical it is? I want even to tell you, because this is something that many Kenyans do not understand. First, Kenya is very much ahead. We rank second in Africa. It's only South Africa that is ahead of Kenya when it comes to aviation industry. When you talk, and I'm not talking of sub-Saharan Africa. I'm talking the whole Africa.
The whole of Africa.
The whole of Africa.
The 54 countries.
There are 54 countries. All of them, Kenya is number 2. And the very interesting bit is that in Kenya we are still growing, when South Africa, which is actually the leader, is actually going down. It's declining. It has been declining in the last 10 years. Now, why is this so? You go to all these countries. I will start with everybody knows about Ethiopian Airlines, and would wonder how would Kenya beat Ethiopia and all that. Ethiopia have nothing else except Ethiopian Airlines.
Well, they have Bola International Airport,
yes,
which is much more modern than JK.
Yeah, right now I'm talking about aircraft. I will talk about
the infrastructure,
the infrastructure later. But I want just to talk about the investors in the airlines and you know, aircraft and all that. So they have that airline. They have nothing else. You could find that there's 2 other people who own some 2-3 aircraft, and that's the end of it. Because
the market is not liberalized.
Yes. Go to Egypt. There's Egypt there. There is nothing. There is nothing else. You will not find anything else. Go to Morocco. There is Air Morocco. There is nothing else. Go to a place like Nigeria. Of course, aviation has never worked there. They have a few lines that start and then close the following day. You work out all these other African countries, you know, that the neighboring countries and everybody. I mean, there is nothing except the national airline. But in Kenya, do you know what? Other than KQ, the famous our famous national airline, Kenya Airways, we have other 30 operators plus, that have a lot of aircrafts. Maybe you didn't even know that today in the world, especially in the humanitarian aviation, where mainly it's where I mean, that's where we cut our tooth. And up to now is still our bread and butter mainly. That business where we actually mainly compete with South African companies, European companies, North American companies. Kenya is a leader. Yeah, like our company. Just to ever say something, our company is the leading operator for one of the UN agencies in the world. A first one for a Kenyan company.
Mwangi, I want you to hold your thoughts there, because I know you're very passionate about the aviation industry.
I wanted to come down to airports also, but maybe you give me a chance to talk about the airports.
There is a presidential event. The president is about to speak, and I want us to go there. So first of all, let's listen to the president. Come back to the studio where we are discussing the aviation industry, how to boost their business, and of course, how to encourage more Kenyans to take to the skies. We're in the company, or in the good company, of Moses Mwangi, who is the managing director of 748 Air Services, one of the leading local airlines in this country, and of course it has an extensive knowledge in terms of humanitarian services, not only here in Kenya or the region, but around Africa. So Mwangi, you're talking about Kenya's aviation industry. I mean, it is known that it is the second biggest in Africa. So how do we improve our infrastructure to ensure that we bring more airports closer to the people?
Yeah, Blair, that's a very good one. And let me start by saying something here. The aviation industry in Kenya is a little bit underrated. I mean, I don't have any other words to say. When you look at what we have, like I mentioned earlier, aviation in Kenya is in the hands of private investors, whilst everywhere else in Africa, it's in the hands of the government. Other than a small proportion of it in South Africa.
Yep.
It's only in this country where the private investors have actually really invested in aviation, and all they require now to really explode and expound on this industry is facilitation, especially the infrastructure. Why am I saying this? First, I want to make it very, very clear that especially when you bring one aircraft, the multiplier effects of an aircraft is, you cannot compare it with any other industry. The kind of jobs that it creates, directly and indirectly. Yeah? Now, the other one is, if you have that, if you are not careful, and we are experiencing a bit of it, you get a bottleneck on issues infrastructure. Like I'll tell you, the issue of having an enabling airports and having proper airports all over. I have to say, the government has done a lot of work, especially in the improvement they have made Mombasa Airport. Mombasa Airport is classic, it's very good, and even you can say that it has overcapacity as it stands now. It's still prepared. But why is the problem? The problem is JKA. JKA, we need to do something. JKA is a big major bottleneck. It's already calling for a second runway, and it's also calling for an international terminal. We cannot continue with the international terminal that we have at JKA today. We are lagging behind. Just compare ourselves with Bore. Yeah, with Bore. Now, the truth of the matter is, just imagine with all that is happening in Ethiopia, if Jomo Kenyatta was anywhere the status of Bore, all these airlines will be flying to Kenya. There is a lot of penalties that you get by flying into Bore. Bore aviation aircraft don't like altitude. The more closer you are to sea level, the better it is. It increases the payloads and everything. Bore, it's very high altitude. Kigali is very high altitude. I wouldn't say Nairobi is the best, but you know what? In the neighborhood, we have the better one than everybody else. So just imagine if we had that kind of infrastructure, all these airlines will be flying here. Just imagine how many jobs they will create for Kenya. I mean, here in Kenya.
We managed to open a modern Terminal 1A. Has it improved anything?
It is still compared. If you compare it internationally, it's still a very big joke. I'm sorry to say so. It's nothing. We're still overcrowded there. We still have to go under the tent in Terminal 2. I mean, the whole thing does not make sense. And I'm sure you have flown out of Terminal 2, or you have landed and being escorted to Terminal 2.
The tents.
And under the tents and everything. I mean, Kenya, we should not be like that. Not when we are the second leader in Africa. This is to some extent.
It's good that you have brought that.
And I want to mention something, you know, which, of course, look, we are a national hub. This is the place. This is a place for Africa. This is a place that can connect everywhere from Nairobi. But we lagged behind with the infrastructure, and Ethiopians grabbed it with the Bore. Even before the problems, don't forget, and they are working very much ahead. They're already working on another airport, because they still think, because of course it's the largest now. It's the largest company now in Ethiopia. The company that owns the airport and also owns the airline. It's the largest employer and everything. So I mean, you can see what we are talking about. Yeah, and don't forget they have a population of about 110 million. Now, when you come to Kenya, you see they are going there. There is now Kigali. Kigali is very, very aggressive. And what they have done, they have gone...
And Dar es Salaam, Julius Nyerere Airport is also expanding.
No, they have expanded. Actually, if you go there and compare it with what you mentioned, Terminal 1, there is no comparison with their whatever. That's why I'm saying, and we should never be compared.
Because we are
always ahead.
Because we have to go to KICC, where the president is almost speaking.
Yeah.
What would you say are your final remarks in 30 seconds?
Yes, I am saying that the government should come in and assist us with the infrastructure. We need a second runway, and we need a second, an international terminal at Jomo Kenyatta. On top of that, we need also the government to come in and assist us, especially on the components that we bring in, the spares and everything.
Very well.
We need to remove the VAT. We need to remove all the IDL
Mwangi.
and create maybe an aviation tax, something levy.
Our national anthem is playing at KICC.
Yeah, good.
We have to come to an end. Thank you very much. You have been watching us live from Broadcasting House.